So hello and welcome to domytriesthis. I hope you brought your cuppa. Today's coffee mug, I believe, was a gift from my husband. It's chock full of Christmas phrases. Ho, 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 hot cocoa. Give holly berries, peppermint, mistletoe, sprinkles, and naughty or nice. Sugar plum berries danced in their head. And as you can see, it has all kinds of little pictures all over it. As with all of my holiday mugs, this mug doesn't come out very often. I think the last time I used it was about a year ago, probably at Christmas time. Today's tea is a new tea that I actually found at my local Kroger. It is the Private Selection Blood Orange Rooibos Herbal Tea. It's a blend of Rooibos tea with blood orange peel, hibiscus, and rosehip. And let me tell you something. It smells beautiful. Now it's been steeping for a little while because I actually had it start steeping before I started setting up. So the flavor we're going to get right now should be the flavor it is. Hopefully it's really good. And let's give it a taste. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm not getting much orange in there, which is what I was really hoping for. It's very delicate. I'm gonna have to think about this one. One of the other reasons I picked it up is because I've been sick, and so whether I like it or not, I probably will end up drinking it because I do need the citrus right now. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to go over. I wanted to talk to you real quick about my project pan because honestly, there's only really one real update for it, and that's going to be it for the end of the year. And what it comes down to is I'm terrible at project panning. Especially if I'm looking at specific items to project pan. The only thing I managed to finish getting through for my Tarte project pan is I did finally use up the rest of this. Remember, I pulled this out and I crushed it up and used it for a concealer because the color was right for that. But pretty much most everything else, I haven't really managed to get much done on. For next year, I'm not going to do a project pan in particular. I'm going to see if I can do what another YouTuber has stated that she's going to do, and that is the Reverse Rouge Challenge. I heard about this from Christina Chang. I will link her YouTube channel below. I do watch her. She's looks really young for her age, and I really like her. You'll like her too. She's a little more energetic than I am, but she's very real, and that's one of the things that I really like in my YouTubers is that they come across as very, very real. To get Rouge at Sephora, you have to spend about $1,000. So the Reverse Rouge Challenge is through the year is to try to use $1,000 worth of makeup. Now I'm going to include hair care and skin care in that. And one of the things that I intend to do is, since it's almost impossible to hit pan on a blush or an eyeshadow, I mean, it can be done. It just takes a long time. And most of my stuff is nowhere near that. I am going to do basically breakdowns. If I use up one eyeshadow in a palette, you know, let's say it's a $10 palette and it has 5 eyeshadows. If I use one eyeshadow up in that, then I will add $2 to the $1,000 used. That's what I'm planning to do. I think that'll be a little easier for me because it won't be using specific items. It'll be just trying to use things up, but at the same time, being able to switch and use whatever I want. Let's get into what we're doing today, which is our Whole and Healthy Wednesday, and welcome. So we use Whole and Healthy Wednesday to use old and new products. So for my new products, I am going to be using my Osrian palette from Glistening Beauty. I've actually used this a few times. I've only used a few shades. I'm thinking about going into these oranges and stuff and using that. Also on my table to possibly use in the new category is the Ace Beauty palette that we got in our BoxyCharm. I've pretty much decided how I feel about this, but I'm going to keep using it anyway. In my old, I'm going to use the Profusion Mixed Metals Peach. As you recall, I got this in a PR package, in my only PR package to date. And there's some beautiful colors in there that I want to use. And I'm probably going to use my Tarte Energy Noir. It's got some good colors in there. My son must have come out of his room and the cats are yelling at him to feed them. Anyway, so yeah, that's the other one I'm going to use. I might dig into the big treasure box for the blush and stuff like that. There's some nice stuff in there. I have my face set up and prepared, and we can go ahead and sort of get started. I am going to start with this lighter orange called Creamsicle. And let's talk. So there was another time that I did try to lose weight, and it was as an adult. I had my older daughter, tried to lose weight and got pregnant with my second child. So, but let's talk about why all of that history is important. Well, I put this under my brow. You can see this Glistening Beauty, that they've got quite the pigmentation. They're really nice. Why is it important to discuss history and think about your history when you're talking about trying to lose weight and health? Well, there's a lot of reasons. For one, I was poor a lot of my life, and I'm going to go to the other side without cutting anything out at this point. And that meant that I had limited nutrition for a lot of my life. And that can influence the way your health goes, obviously, especially if you have that problem as a child. I've been very lucky that my health issues haven't been that serious. I did grow okay despite having to buy cheap, empty calorie type food for the longest part of my life. My children have done relatively well despite the fact that I couldn't afford much more. But, you know, for some people that may not have been true. I'm going to go over that orange with this yellow electric. I have tried to use this electric before. It's not a very good yellow on me, but most yellows aren't, so I'm not holding that against this palette. And I'm going to use the palette mirror. I don't know why I switched to the other mirror. But anyway, not everybody is going to have that kind of fortune. So that's one thing to think about when you're thinking about your health. It's very easy to get on certain fad diets or things, and if you're not thinking about how you were eating when you were younger and stuff like that, you could be creating an even worse negative impact. I'm going to take this up a little bit more and grab underneath here so it fades into that orange. So that is something important to keep in mind, is that, you know, whatever food plan you choose to follow, oh God, Mama's gonna need some brow gel like crazy today. You have to think about what you were doing in the past, what kind of nutritional needs you are going to have, and things like that. And a lot of those diets are not really all that general approved anyway, but we'll get into that in another day. The second thing is about history. The more times you lose weight, well, let me put it this way. It has been proven that every time you lose weight or try to lose weight, you affect your metabolism. And the more your metabolism slows down, that side needs a little bit more the harder it is to lose weight. So if you've been yo-yo dieting for years, and you're finding it harder and harder to lose weight, there's a reason for that. Your body doesn't want to lose that weight. And in some ways that makes perfect sense. So all those times that I've lost weight or tried to lose weight, 2 or 3 times or so, I was actually affecting my metabolism and making it harder for me to lose weight the next time I tried to lose weight. And my body would cling to what it had even more. I am going to use Rose on the inner corner and Poppy on the outer corner. Another thing that all that dieting can do to you, whether successful or not, is it'll affect, 1, your relationship with food, and 2, your relationship with yourself. The one thing about diets is that you're supposed to see food as kind of the enemy. Getting in the crevice. Because how can you work on losing weight if you love food and it's not the enemy? You're going to keep eating the way you've been eating. So you have to kind of, whenever you go on a diet, you have to start saying, well, I'm not going to eat this, and I'm not going to eat that, and I'm going to eat less of this, and I'm going to do this. And so, for example, for a while there, everybody had to go on low-fat diets. Now, there are some good reasons to go on low-fat diets, but your body needs fat. And another one is low-carb diets. For some people, a low-carb diet is necessary. But you start seeing carbs or fats or whatever it is as the enemy. You start seeing it as something that you cannot or should not have. And that is, and every diet you try is going to have a something that's supposed to be your enemy kind of thing. It's going to be something in that diet you're not supposed to be eating, or you're supposed to be eating less of, or whatever. You know, every diet you have will give you a list of approved and not approved food. That's what a diet is. It's a list of approved and not approved food, and eating as little as possible in general. So you start developing this love-hate relationship with food. And depending on which diets you try and which ones are successful and which ones, and when I say successful, you lose a little bit. You may not keep it all, but you lose a little bit. So you think the diet is working because of the limitations it has placed upon your food groups. Not necessarily because of the fact that it's placed a limitation on your calories. So you end up developing this love-hate relationship. You sit there and think, I cut out bread and I lost all this weight, so maybe I shouldn't eat bread. Or I cut out, mangoes, so I shouldn't eat mangoes. And that's not it at all. And if you love mangoes, you're telling yourself not to eat something that you love to eat. And it's one of the reasons why I finally decided to not diet. You start developing this disordered relationship with food. You start thinking good foods are good or bad. You start trying to cut out foods you may actually need that have nutrients you need. You start taking vitamins instead of eating food because you want to eat less food, and some of the food you're trying not to eat has important nutrients that you won't need to have. So diet culture is don't eat these foods, and disordered eating is what it comes down to. So you get on these different diets, and the ones that are successful, you go, oh, okay, so that's what I shouldn't be eating. And you find you can't stick with it. I'm going to take this color Bordeaux and I'm going to put that in my crease and out to my point. So then the other thing that you start developing a different relationship with is yourself. When you're successful on whatever that diet is, you're a good person. You're on a roll. You're great. But then one day you can't keep it, and all of a sudden you're not such a good person. You start feeling crappy about yourself, or you start gaining the weight back, and you start feeling like you're a horrible person because you can't even keep weight off. Well, let me tell you something right now. Most people can't keep the weight off. That's just the truth of it. Going to apologize if there's a lot of breaks and bumps in this. I'm having certain issues right now. It's just me struggling with me. We're going to mix Tempt, this Tempt up here with this color Palace, this reddish one with this brownish one. There we go. Yeah, we'll go. That's what we'll do. I know what I'm doing, kind of. I'm gonna mix those two and put them in my crease. Having a day. Anyway, it's just, there is a place, that's not giving me much color. Alrighty, so we'll go to the next one over. We'll go to Legend in that reddish color. Okay, there we go. Now we got some color in there, just a little bit. Anyway, there's a place that does research on weight loss that basically contacts people or people who have lost 30 plus pounds and kept it off, and they are just doing various research. You answer a thing every year, and they find that most people don't keep the weight off, or at least they don't keep it all off. Which is not to say that if you want to lose weight, that means you need to think of losing more than you had planned. That's just saying be aware that, you know, you have a balance point in your body, and that's going to affect how well you keep the weight off. You have to be realistic in your goals, which is also a hard thing, especially with our disordered idea of what a healthy person should look like in this society. Guess I'm not using this one after all. I'll probably use this for my eyeliner. I'm just gonna otherwise not use this today. I need something underneath my eyes. I'm gonna mix Flirt here with this pumpkin spice that I used a little earlier and put that on the rest of the under part of my eye. Anyway, so if you are in a family where, you know, food is part of everything, when you're trying to deny yourself food, you're going against years and years for some of us, add a few more years, of, you know, life training of how you should interact with food. So our history, I actually like the way that color came out. Our history plays a lot in how we eat and how we view food and how we view ourselves and how well a diet will work and just a whole lot of things. And like I said, there's the physical part of the whole history thing, where if you've been dieting a lot, you are essentially tampering with your metabolism, and it's your metabolism that determines how quickly you burn food, how much calories you need for a day, all that stuff. And if you are if you're bringing your metabolism down, you're just basically making it that much harder for you to actually lose weight. And so that's the other problem with diet culture, is that it not only gets you on this cycle of lose weight, eat, lose weight, eat, lose weight, eat, it starts actually tampering with your physiology. And I'm trying to find my cover for this. There it is right in front of me. Without my glasses, I can't see anything. Eyes, I think, are done. I think I like this. Might need a shine across the top of the middle. What do you think? I guess we'll use this after all. We will take this light color and brush it briefly across the middle of my eye. Oh, that's pretty. Okay, that's nice. Gives it a nice sheen. History is important, and it's something that you have to take into account when you're deciding what to do with yourself. I didn't know that when I first started losing weight. I didn't think much about that. There were things I did know. I did know that I should eat healthy food. I did know, I'm putting my stuff away that I'm not going to need now that I'm done with my eyes. I think they're pretty. All of that does have an impact on what's going to work for you in the long run. Because one of the reasons we lose weight is for a long-term change. And if you're fighting your history instead of trying to figure out how to work around it or work with it or to bring it in to, making yourself healthier, if you're constantly fighting it, you're going to go back to the unhealthy things. So when you decide to become a healthier person, one of the things, if you decide, or if you're on that journey to become a healthier person, 1, weight does not equate health. 2, you need to figure out what you can live with. Sorry about that. We just had a bus drop off a bunch of really noisy kids. Really noisy kids. I went ahead and cleaned up a little bit, so that's all taken care of. And hopefully we can continue to talk now. Maybe. Gonna go ahead and color correct. We don't have that much more to talk about on this one. I am all over the place again, I know, but hey, this seems to be common. I don't keep notes. I really want to keep these discussions as... What are you doing in there? I really want to keep these discussions as informal and from the heart as possible. I've kind of lost track of where I was because of all the kids and the noise. But basically, the gist of it is you do have to pay attention to your history, because it's going to determine how successful you are for a lot of things in terms of food, in terms of how well this diet is going to work for you or that diet's going to work for you. And personally, let's see how to put this. For me, let me put it this way. When I first started, I actually didn't think about cutting food out because of my classes that I'd had before that taught me about the healthy food pyramid and all of that stuff. I actually wasn't much tempted to try any of these diets that recommend that you cut out certain foods, or any of these diets that cut your calories to the bone. I did want to cut back. I knew that because I already knew I was eating way too much on my plate. But I already was lucky enough to have enough of a foundation to know where there was about where there was a line between common sense and, oh my God, what the hell are you doing to your body kind of thing. So as I look at you kind of weird with my little cat stuff here. So I was fortunate in that, but they don't teach nutrition in high school anymore, I don't think. Last time I checked. I actually got my first nutrition class in junior high, I believe, middle school. And I got it in Ohio, believe it or not, but I don't think they teach that stuff anymore. Now they're too busy teaching to the test or whatever. So a lot of kids don't have any idea of anything about their food. where it comes from. You know, there are kids that have been getting chocolate milk who think chocolate milk comes directly from a cow. I saw that once a long time ago. So a lot of us don't have a background to make the kind of decisions that I made. And that's another thing about history that you need to pay attention to. You can't just assume that because everybody's doing this diet, that diet is going to be good for you. Just can't. After the holidays, we're going to get into the season of New Year's resolutions, losing weight. You're going to get hit by all the Jenny Craigs and the Weight Watchers, and get on Atkins, and try this new fad diet and try that new fad diet. And I do want to talk about fads and things that aren't necessarily fads, but weren't actually intended for the general public. And some of you are probably going to be offended by my opinions, but that's just warning you. So right now is the time to be thinking about those things. And when you're thinking about those things and you're determining what you want to do, where you want to go with your health and all that stuff, now is the time to take a look at your history and go, how many times have I tried to lose weight? Okay, all of that's going to make it harder. If you're a woman, you also have to take into account menopause, because guess what, ladies? Menopause also slows down your metabolism, and getting older like that also reduces the amount of muscle you have. So, and muscle is what helps burn calories too, not just activity, how much muscle you have. So all of that you're going to have to think about, all of it. So you've got time to do that now. So when all those, I'm saying so a lot, think I can say so anymore? When all of those commercials start hitting, you'll be prepared, you'll have an idea of what you're doing, you'll be able to ignore the bikini clad, whoever, for whatever new diet or even old diet that's being pushed in your general direction. You'll be able to resist those because you'll have a plan, basically. And you'll have a plan that fits you. And that's what's important. It has to fit you. So start thinking about what you want and what your body has been through. For anyone that doesn't know, I do this to actually make my lips look a little better when I finally got the finish with the makeup on. It does help. It does. So you need to think about all of those things, really. And yes, once again, I lost my train of thought. But I think you guys have the picture. I'm sitting here repeating myself a lot. And this video is going to be insanely long, I already know. And I apologize for that. It's also going to be insanely broken up. I apologize for that. Alrighty, I'm going to go and finish my face and then try to come up with some sort of much clearer thoughts than I've had so far. And then we'll see the finished look. I actually am liking this. I'm actually liking this quite a bit. This would have been a good Bright Ladies one. What do you think? Anyway, I will be back with a finished face. So, do you ever put on your foundation and look at it before it oxidizes a bit and go, I think I might need to go a little darker? And then it oxidizes down and you're like, okay, never mind. Yeah, that was me the other day looking at it going, wait a minute. And this is my trusty CoverGirl TruBlend that I'm really enjoying and need to get more of, despite what it looks like in the jar. I'm having trouble getting stuff out, and I don't know if there's any way to get that pump off there to get the rest out, so we'll have to find out later. Also, in actually a great way to end our project pan, I actually finally hit pan on the second shade in my Energy Noir, doing my eyeliner today, so that's a bonus. In the old and new stuff, I used my usual bronzer, which is the Zuri Flawless. It's actually supposed to be foundation. I find it very good for contouring. I mixed that in with a little bit from the Tarte Treasure Box. I used the blush from the Tarte Treasure Box. For highlighter, I used my Strobe Genius, and I used a little bit from this particular shade here from my new Vanessa Vanity. So we went new and old there. New and old on the lips, I've got my Charlotte Tilbury lipstick and lip liner in a ColourPop gloss, because the lipstick and lip liner are matte, and we all know don't like mattes. Hope you've managed to stick through to the end. This is our final look. I actually really like this eye look. I'm going to have to keep this in mind for the future. I am losing a little bit on this eye, not surprised, between allergies, sinus infection, and a few other things going on. My eyes are being really overactive when it comes to the oils and stuff that causes some of those issues. That all said, we are done. Final thoughts. I said I would have some final thoughts. So when I started my journey, I did not think about my past and how it impacted me. And while I initially lost weight, when I finally started hitting the bumps in the road, because you do hit bumps in the road, I think it made it harder not thinking about how my past was impacting my relationship with my food, my relationship with myself, and my relationship with exercise. Because as I noted, when I was much younger, I really enjoyed running around and stuff, but as I got older, some of that joy went away. I don't know if that was just because of the way I was raised. I don't know if that was because, gym class never had the stuff that I was interested in doing anyway, and I got hit one too many times in the face with a dodgeball or whatever. But yeah, I started to like exercise less, and it became to the point where if it was a formal exercise, I just did not want to do it. So all of those are things that I keep saying and if you're not on a health journey, if you're not trying to lose weight, if you're not trying to do any of these things, you can ignore the you. It's a general you. It should be we. We all need to think about how our past impacts us and how we can work with it instead of against it to make a better, healthier future for ourselves. So that's one of the reasons why I actually really wanted to why I wanted to talk about your past in the previous one, and why I wanted to talk about how that impacts where we go and how when we're trying to lose weight and get healthier and all that stuff. Like I said, I'm sorry it's been such a mess, particularly if you're new here. Seriously, I'm not usually sick. I'm not usually on drugs because I'm sick, and I'm not usually such a mess. Well, okay. Sometimes I'm pretty close to being this bad of a mess. I hope you like our look today. There you go. I'm sure you can see it starting to fade a little bit in the corner here. And I hope you like what you've seen here today, and I hope you will come back again. And if you do like what you see and want to come back again, I hope you will subscribe down below and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload. If you're part of my notification squad, oh yes, I'm going to remind you yet again, you may want to check your bell and go ahead and make sure it is rung, because yes, YouTube is still knocking off the bells. YouTube, get your act together. Really, please. Otherwise, I do hope you will come by again, regardless of whether or not you subscribe. And if you do come by again, don't forget to bring your cup of tea. This has gotten very cold. I am, considering the way it was when I was warm, I am almost afraid to taste it, but here we go. We're going to dive in and see if it's gotten any better and if it's good cold. Getting more of the orange. not that good cold. I'm gonna have to put this in the microwave so I can finish it up. Hopefully the orange peel will help. It's okay. I think I'm gonna end up giving this box of tea to my son who likes tea. So, yay. You all have a great day. Bye.